ABC World News with Diane Sawyer.
Good evening. What a difference tonight in the pressure cooker of Cairo, Egypt. Tension and violence gave way to celebration today. You'll remember yesterday, these were the scenes we were showing you of bloody clashes, anger and pain. But today, take a look. A sea of peaceful protesters confidently back in control of the square, chanting against President Mubarak and wearing their bruises and bandages like badges of victory. So where are the dangerous thugs from yesterday? And has the threat of chaos throughout the Middle East diminished? Christian Amanpour, who led the way with that exclusive interview with President Mubarak last night, is still in Cairo with our David Muir. And Christian, tell us first, how did the change on the streets happen?
Well, it seems that all that transpired over the last 48 hours really came to a head, and really the army then decided to move the sides apart. It was called a day of departure today. They hoped, the protesters, that President Mubarak would be forced to step down. He is still here, but then again, so are they.
Tens of thousands of Egyptians gathered again in Liberation Square this morning to pray, bowing their heads to the ground they have been fighting for.
Today it's a completely different atmosphere, peaceful, because the army has taken a decision to expand the buffer zone between the people who are protesting against the government and any pro-Mubarak supporters who may come here.
The army stationed tanks at both ends of this bridge that had been the scene of violent clashes, as well as angry mobs who set upon journalists. And today we walked freely, as did everyone here. And for the first time, a government official, the Minister of Defense, made an appearance at the square. People all over the square asked me about my meeting with Mubarak and wanted to know when he was leaving.
I spoke to him yesterday. I saw him at the palace, and I said to him, there are people who tell me they don't trust you when you say you will step down.
We don't trust him.
We were in the crowd when a rumor raced through that Mubarak had resigned, and they went wild at the thought of victory. But as of tonight, the president remains in office, and there is new tension over who will replace him when he does go.
The war on the ground, the struggle has been achieved. We still have not achieved the political battle.
There's a lot of anxiety that the Muslim Brotherhood is taking over the protests.
This is not true. This is not true. All types of religion people are here. Muslims and Christians and all types.
But some of the youth leaders here told us they felt the Brotherhood was hijacking their movement.
They're all talking about what they need, what they want to do, not what we want to do. They're talking for us when we didn't ask them to stand for us.
So I asked Dr. Issam Aryan, a leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, what they want. We spoke by phone because it was too dangerous for him to meet us in public.
The people of Egypt are taking over the power, not the Muslim Brotherhood.
He says the Brotherhood will not even field a presidential candidate in the next election.
What do you say to people who are afraid that the Muslim Brotherhood will take over and turn this into another Iran?
We want to send a message to Egyptians and to the region and to the whole world that we are aiming and targeting to have a civil state, democratic state.
And here, in what's become the People's Square, the symbols are not religious nor political. They are all about Egypt.
Well, this has been an extraordinary 24 hours, Christian, but tell me about the other countries in the region. Have the protests there subsided? What's been happening?
Well, they had called in some countries for protests after the midday Friday prayers. In Syria, we understand they did not materialize because secret police and other security forces were deployed. In Jordan, next door, some hundreds did turn out, but again, they weren't as big, and that perhaps could be attributed to some heavy rain, some downpours there. But really, we saw today in this square that there was no raining on this parade today.
Yeah, so many unexpected turns today, Christian. Hard to believe this time last night. We were reporting for World News from inside the hotel room. They said it was too dangerous to be outside here. But given the fact that you're reporting the angry mobs are now gone, in that square today, we read victory on the faces of the young and the old.
Just beyond the tanks, just inside Tahrir Square, the Citizen Army, volunteers. We passed through a half dozen checkpoints. They're making sure no weapons get in.
الناس.
And then an image that jumps out immediately, the wounds. So many bandages after 2 days of violence.
This is the government way. This is the government way. Just because you ask for freedom, you know what I mean?
Many of you back in the States have asked, what about food, water, bathrooms? An image of the only portable bathroom our team could find. Boxes of water and bags of food have now been carried in by supporters, and they're sharing here. This woman is given a bottle of water. It's a mood that spans generations here. A father and his son. The boy tells me their wish has been simple.
You want freedom?
Yes, I want freedom for Egypt.
And he tells me why. The poverty he sees in the streets.
When I see a man is bigger than me and he is not working and he's sitting on the streets.
This woman clutches her Egyptian flag.
Have the protesters won?
Of course, she tells us, we've already won. And then adds, we're one step away.
One step away.
Yes.
You want Mubarak?
Go away.
Now.
And in the faces of these young girls, unwavering hope.
What do you want to achieve?
I want to be a doctor when
You want to be a doctor?
Yes, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a scientist.
A what?
A scientist.
A scientist?
Yes. Engineer. Computer engineer.
Computer engineer. The three of you may save the world.
Yes, we want that.
Future engineers, future doctors, and the children believe that, and the thing, Christiana, so do their parents, because for so many people here, for the last 30 years, the only president they've ever known is President Mubarak. And Diane, with so many questions about what could come next, the people in that square haven't gotten there yet. They are just savoring the victory that they feel they have witnessed here this week.
Well, it was great to see you both out there again today, and so great to see the faces of those young girls. David, Christian, thank you. And amid so many acts of courage in Cairo, we want to focus for a moment on one woman, an Egyptian journalist known by millions, once called the face of Egypt abroad. And she has put her career and possibly her life in jeopardy, and Lama Hassan has her story.
The demonstrations, the clashes, the huge numbers of anti-Mubarak protesters spilling into the streets. It has been an explosion of images shown around the world. But not on Egyptian state-run TV. Take a look at this. On January 30th at 7 p.m., on the left of the screen, Al Jazeera showed the protesters massing in Tahrir Square. On the right, state TV. No protesters and no square. The pressures to not report what was happening, to not report on the anti-government uprising was too much for Nile TV anchor Shahira Amin. She resigned.
We were just covering the pro-Mubarak rallies, which I thought was ridiculous. And I don't want to be part of their propaganda machine.
Amin saw what was happening in her country. She just wasn't allowed to report on it.
And I heard the chants of the protesters and decided to get off in Tahrir Square and join the protesters because I'm siding with the people, not the regime.
Earlier in the week, another reporter for the state-run TV resigned too. Suha al-Nakash told us that during clashes between pro- and anti-government forces, she was instructed to report that calm had been restored. Two reporters now risking so much to tell the truth about their country. Lama Hassan, ABC News, Cairo.
And that square that they wouldn't show on Egyptian TV, you know, for the past week, we've all been focused on that Tahrir Square in Cairo at the stage for the revolution. But we thought we'd like you to see Tahrir Square as it once was. This is how it looked, that grassy oasis, before the word went out that thousands of people could gather there, protest, and possibly change a whole nation.